How goes the family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's nice to go live. Looking forward to definitely going live tomorrow with my travel folks, and we're going to be talking about how basically travel is going to be affected in 2021. We already know how it's been affected in 2020. But anyways, let's get it going. Let's get some music going and all that good stuff. Let's get the party started. Okay, let's enjoy life and let's continuously make money moves, family. So, matter of fact, yep, let me make sure I get my stuff together. All right, beautiful, beautiful. Got it, got it. All righty. And it's perfect. It just takes but a second, family. All righty. Hide. All right. We done made it through another week, and it's all good. All right. So, business. Because as my shirt says, I don't do drama, I do business. And that's real. All right, let's get the show going. Let's get the show going. Let's get the show going. Ready. All righty. Thank you for joining, ladies and gentlemen. Always greatly appreciated. Always greatly appreciated. Hopefully you guys are having a great day and all that good stuff. So basically, when it comes down to business, and I'm just really going to keep it simple, no matter what kind of business you're in. Most people, when you've done a transaction, whether you've gone to a gas station, whether you've gone to a grocery store, whether you're shopping on Amazon, whether you're shopping on my online store, most of the time it's all about a couple of things. Mainly, do they have the product I want? Can they get the product to me at the sufficient time? Is the customer service decent? If I need a refund, is the customer service decent when I check out? If I'm actually at a brick and mortar store and whatnot, even though that's kind of becoming a thing of the past. But a lot of times people get a little bit into their emotions a little too much. And they think that everybody's supposed to be in this touchy-feely world where everybody's supposed to like each other. That's really not the case. That's not being realistic about it and whatnot. There are certain countries that cannot stand each other. They can't stand each other. Thanks for the like, Chris. I greatly appreciate it. But yet and still they do business with each other on a regular basis. Great example. Saudi Arabia and the United States of America. Not always the best of friends and whatnot, but they have common interest. Okay. Common interest. I'll go another step further. United States and China can't really stand each other, but they have common interests. And ever since China opened its doors a couple of decades ago and whatnot, saying, hey, we can't survive being this total communist country. We need to be some sort of a communist / capitalistic country. And we got to open our economy to the world. If not, we will perish and whatnot. So we will do business with people that we don't particularly care for, but they got money and we'll learn what we can from them. And now they're, one of the biggest manufacturers in the world, where they've been not only come out of the dark ages and stone ages from an economic perspective, but they've actually set up shop all over the world, from the Caribbean to Central and South America to Africa and other parts of the world, where they are loaning money to other countries, loaning money to other businesses, creating other businesses and whatnot throughout the world. So they have become a big economic force. Now, whether they like the countries in Africa, the countries in the Caribbean, the countries in Central South America, to them it's kind of irrelevant. They're like, hey, we're China first. And I'm not on China's side here. I'm not a fan of China as a country, but I'm just saying that's the mentality that they have and whatnot, to where they're like, hey, it's not about us liking each other. It's about us having common interests and whatnot. And we're going to put the interests of our folks first before anything else. Okay. And that's what it really and truly boils down to. Now, another great example. You have states in the United States of America that cannot stand each other, that border each other. California and Nevada, they've always detested each other since the inception and whatnot, especially given the fact that the state of California actually had control over how Nevada governed their state from the inception and the beginning of Nevada and whatnot, especially given the fact that most of the state of Nevada is actually owned by the federal government, Nevada and New Mexico. And that happened after the War of Guadalupe, with the War of the United States and Mexico and whatnot. That's another great example. United States and Mexico, half of the West Coast and the Southwest was actually Mexico and whatnot. And I'm not just talking about the border states. I'm talking about the state of Washington State, Oregon, Utah, all these other states and whatnot were actually owned by Mexico and whatnot. All the states that even border the border states and whatnot, Texas, and Mexico could have a very bad grudge and whatnot with those border states and things of that nature. But Mexico has actually profited, and other Central American countries have actually profited from there being a specific relationship and whatnot. I mean, heck, even before the last, if you look 15 to 20 years ago and whatnot, it was very like the U.S. and Mexican border was very more open than it has been for the last 20 years. Now, I'm not getting into the whole political nonsense of the border and all that nonsense. I'm just talking about business here. So let's stay focused on the business aspect of it. You used to have like just freely Americans would just cross the border and whatnot at the border exchange and just go back and forth without even really having to show ID like that. Just especially people who lived in those local towns, or a lot of times people that lived in those actual border states would drive down to the border and then just walk into Mexico and whatnot. Back in the 60s, 50s, 60s and 70s and whatnot. It's just a very common thing. The exchange of commerce. So whether people liked them or not was just, whether the Mexicans like the Americans coming in, whether the Americans like the Mexicans, it's kind of all irrelevant. All right. Thank you for the likes, fam. It's greatly appreciated. It's kind of all irrelevant. Okay. Because the interest was, hey, we need access to capital. Okay. We want to go to have there on vacation and whatnot. So that was the interest. It wasn't about liking. It was about having the same common interest at the end of the day. And that's what, to me, at the end of the day, that's what matters. And taking your emotions and feelings out of certain things, I think can truly work. Because at the end of the day, when exchange of commerce and goods and money and all that good stuff actually happens on a regular basis, more and more people are like, hey, do you have the product I want? I need it. I'm going to move forward. Okay. I think when it really boils down to it, that's what it is. Okay. Let's just be realistic about it. Great example. President Donald Trump, I know he's on his way out. He's always said some crazy things, but you've seen him sit down with dignitaries from these countries that he's talked about and whatnot, because these people have specific interests at the end of the day. They don't care about what the man has to say. They care about, hey, are we still getting our end of the bargain and whatnot that we have with the United States and whatnot? That's what it boils down to. That's how corporations look at it. A lot of times corporations will do joint ventures with each other. Great example. I'll look at Apple I'll go back in the day, Apple and Microsoft and whatnot, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, people who are competitors and whatnot, but they had a common interest. When they first met each other, they really didn't even care for each other, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, but they had common interests, and they knew if they pull their resources together, they can make something happen. And you look at where Apple is today as a company, and you look where Microsoft is today as a company. It's a big freaking deal. You know what I mean? And that's not, I think that's one thing that's not even talked about enough in school. And thanks, Marquita. I greatly appreciate it. Exactly. You just take the emotions out and you call it a day. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for watching, young lady. Hope all is well in the real estate world. Yeah, this young lady, I always share her content. She's always got some great gems and whatnot when it comes to real estate. So yeah, definitely, it's always greatly appreciated. And if you need any real estate consultations or whatnot in regards to it in the DMV area, Marquita is the one you want to contact. So definitely check it out in the comment section. But yeah, it's like that's just what it is at the end of the day. And I think when people put too many emotions and whatnot, in regards to business, they burn a lot of bridges. Great example. You look at the U.S. Congress and whatnot in the Senate. These people will talk trash about each other all day, every day, But half the time, these people are sitting on the same businesses and committees together. They own businesses together. They probably have drinks I know they have drinks together and whatnot. Afterwards, they'll go on TV and talk a lot of trash and whatnot and showing their emotion and all this other stuff and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, they're gonna make sure that each other is taken care of. And that's, like I said, it's just that's it. That's what the title is really all about. Business has nothing, and I mean nothing, to do with anyone liking you. It has everything to do with you moving forward and having your common goal. Okay. Another great example. I could talk about Master P, the record company when he first started No Limit Records. Priority Records was like, you're working too hard. You At the time, he was putting out like at least 10 to 15 albums a year. And that was just unheard of, or even more. And they were like, you need to slow down. And he was like, look, you guys are paying me to put out a product. It's not my fault that you guys can't keep up. He's like, I use you guys as a distribution for my company, No Limit Records. So are we clear? And they was like, okay, we understand and we're clear and whatnot, because there was nothing in the contract that they had with one another saying you can't put out X amount, because at the end of the day, it was a legal issue. Hey, is there anything in my contract that says I can't put out 15 to 20 albums a year? When it's like, his lawyer's like, well, no. All right, then we're going to keep working and whatnot. And Priority Records is going to have to keep the case, keep up with the pace and whatnot. And to this day, Master P and the people from Priority Records, they still have a great working relationship. Exactly, Chris. Exactly. And I think that's the message that gets lost a lot of times. People don't get it, is that whether there's a love or hate relationship involved or whatnot, and even keep it in the music industry, as much as Snoop Dogg and Suge Knight were warring with each other, and at one time Suge Knight was trying to kill Snoop Dogg and whatnot, they still keep a decent relationship, because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for Suge Knight, Snoop Dogg would not have been able to really even be a name today. Obviously it took people like Master P and Dr. Dre and whatnot to help him to get where he is today. But if it wasn't for Suge Knight even building that company known as Death Row Records, he wouldn't, Snoop Dogg we never even would have heard of Snoop Doggy Dogg back in the early and mid 90s. So that's just another thing. It's like, it's about having some sort of commonality and sort of respect and whatnot amongst each other. That's the thing that people just don't understand. Okay. As much as you'll hear other foreign countries talk bad about the United States, they make a lot of money off of the United States, not even just from a commerce standpoint, but from an immigration standpoint. When a lot of people immigrate to the United States from other countries, a lot of times, especially the smart ones, they send money back either to keep people whole, or a lot of times they send money back to the country, because I've heard that story 1,000 times, to where they're building businesses and they're buying real estate. I mean, the list goes on and on. So immigration, everything, at the end of the day, everything is a transaction. Immigration is a business, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying anything bad about people who immigrate to the US or whatever. I think it's a great thing, but there's transactions that are taking place that people just don't realize. I'll go even a step further. Have you ever heard of a thing, and I just learned about this recently in real estate, triple net lease? Okay, where most of these department stores we go to, whether it's sometimes it could be a McDonald's, a majority of the time let's go with a JC Penney's or a Dollar General or anything of that nature and whatnot, in these shopping centers, grocery stores. And these triple net leases basically where someone or some corporation actually owns the department lot and whatnot, the commercial buildings and whatnot. But the people who actually occupy the space, they not only pay the mortgage and whatnot, but they pay the insurance on the property and they pay the taxes on the property. And they're paying it to the actual person to the commercial investor who owns the property and whatnot. And when it comes to all maintenance issues, they have to take care of it. The person who owns the property doesn't even deal with it. Okay. Does that have anything to do with them liking each other? No, it has everything to do with the fact that the person who actually owns the commercial space is in a great location. And the people who want to open the McDonald's or open the dollar store or open the Food Line or the Safeway or the Kroger's or whatever, they want to be in this specific area. So they have to, take heed to the person or peoples or the corporation or corporations that actually own those commercial lots. And that's what, and that once again, has nothing to do with people liking each other. Once again, nothing to do with people's politics. Once again, nothing to do with people's religious beliefs or non-beliefs. It has everything to do with a specific understanding and commonality of what business is all about. Okay. When I go to a restaurant, my feelings is not involved. I just want to make sure that the food is good and the customer service is good. That's all that matters to me at the end of the day. Okay. The politics of whoever owns that establishment means nothing to me as long as I'm not being disrespected in that specific place and whatnot. That's what that's a great example of good customer service, great example of how business is done. Too many people get involved in their emotions and whatnot. He said this, she said that. Exactly. McDonald's is all about real estate. McDonald's is all about real estate. And basically, McDonald's is a real estate company. It's not even really a fast food company. Most people don't even realize it's a real estate company, you know? And the beautiful thing about McDonald's, and the crazy thing at the end of the day, not only when you own a McDonald's or whatnot, you could end up losing your McDonald's if they feel that that location, and obviously it's all in the contract when you're signing up with them. If you're in a specific location, there's a McDonald's down the street from my house. Okay. Not only obviously they own the real estate and you're paying them for the real estate and they're giving you the foods and services and all that, and you're responsible for everything else. But if that McDonald's feels that that location is not really profitable enough and not really a good location, and say if it's the area is run down and all that good stuff, then the McDonald's as a corporation could say, well, we're gonna have to shut that facility down. And I feel bad for the person or people who actually own that McDonald's, because you got to pay $1 million just to get in. But a lot of times that can happen, but that goes all back to ownership at the end of the day. And it's not about McDonald's having any ill will towards the people who own that specific McDonald's. It's just that, hey, they don't see it as a profitable location. It's in a bad location to as far as maybe a freeway is being run through there, or the crime rate has gotten ridiculous, or there's just not as much traffic as it used to be. So a lot of people don't realize that. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, the movie The Founder, that was a real great movie, and that was a lot of great education. Oh my God. I could go on and on about that movie, The Founder. Michael Keaton, that was like his big comeback movie to the movie industry. But that was it was real, and he outsmarted the founders of McDonald's, who actually were based out of San Bernardino, California, because he was like, hey, you guys are in charge of the actual what happens inside the McDonald's, but I own the land that McDonald's sits on. And he ended up buying them out at a very cheap price and whatnot. And the one thing I can give Ray Kroc credit is that he did all this at the time when guys like him, he was in his 50s, were supposed to be looking forward to retirement. And he was just getting started again in his life. He started his new life and he was loving every moment of it. Some people could say that they didn't care for him. Some people say they did care. It wasn't about caring for him. It was about, hey, he made a power move and it worked for him. Once again, keeping it out of your feelings. And he made McDonald's into something that the two originators of McDonald's would have never made it into, because they had they didn't have as big of a vision as Ray Kroc had, and Ray Kroc had the best people around him. And even though some of those great people, he ended up parting ways with. But that's what business is at the end of the day. People don't realize that. And I think that's why a lot of people fail in business, because they have their feelings and emotions involved, and they think that they're supposed to be singing kumbaya and lighting candles with each other on a regular basis. That's just not that's not the way that the real world works. It doesn't work like that with a job. So I don't understand why people think it should work like that with a business. And especially the last 10 years, 20 years, people have been parting ways with jobs left and right, whether that job shut down because of the economy, the job shut down because they went overseas. The job just got sold to the company, got sold to other individuals. They were going in a different direction and bringing in a new team. These things happen on a regular basis. And the people who own those specific places and manage those specific places, it has nothing to do with, them liking you. It's all about, business at the end of the day. Now, in some instances, yeah, it could be about people liking you, but in most instances, it's all about the bottom line. And that's what it is at the end of the day. It's not kumbaya. I mean, I wish the world was more of a kumbaya kind of place, but it's just not. It's ruthless. Okay. Business is war, says the Japanese. That is the old Japanese saying, business is war. All right, doesn't need to mean that we all need to be at each other's throats. No, but it does mean that we need to understand that it's not all about liking one another and all that good stuff, but you can have stuff in common. That's what networking is half of the time. You don't have to be the best of friends, but you can show some sort of respect and have some sort of commonality and whatnot with people, and then some sort of camaraderie. Because the thing is, when I say camaraderie, doesn't mean that you're going to be the best of friends and have beers and whatnot. But when somebody returns to a business establishment, it's because they had a pleasant experience. If a company grants or a city or a state or a federal government grants a contract to an organization, it's because that organization has a great track record, because people, contrary to popular belief, a lot of companies make a lot of money off of the federal government, state government, and local government contracts, no matter what state you live in. The Art of War, by Sun Tzu, great book. I've read that 3 times, got to read it again, but it's definitely, a lot of people don't even realize that. So there's a lot of companies that they really much love the government, whether they're a Democrat or a Republican, because they bank no matter who's in office. Okay, so they throw all that political nonsense to the side, which I love people like that. They're like, hey man, okay, great? How do we get these contracts? Okay, when it comes to anything on any level, it could be from a janitorial contract to a construction contract to a landscaping contract, to a property management contracts. I mean, maintenance contracts when it comes to vehicles of fire departments and the police departments and things of that nature. People don't realize that. There's so much out here. It's ridiculous. So that's my take on that. Put the link in the chat room if Marquita or Chris, you guys want to chime in. I just had to get that off my chest. Yeah, you can just click on the StreamYard link, but it's a learning experience. That's all I can say about that. It's very big learning experience. That's how I look at that. But it's very interesting, because even if you look at, at the end of the day, remember, business isn't personal. It's just business, At the end of the day, it's just business. And heck, and another interest, it's more expensive for them to go to war with each other and all that good stuff. And it's way more expensive for them to, put their military personnel out there in harm's way, civilians in harm's way, bombs being thrown in harm's way. A lot of countries, they can't stand each other, whether it's from the US to Central South America, to the Caribbean, to Africa, to even Europe and whatnot. But there's, contrary to popular belief, there's more cooperation amongst world leaders, whether people believe it or not now, because they know going to war is just it's not as productive as it used to be. I guess that's the best way to put it. All right. Exactly. There's money everywhere. But that's just one thing we have to understand. It's just like people are learning that. Heck, and the great thing is a lot of African nations have started to learn, hey, it's just time for us to focus on the bottom line, taking care of our people, taking care of each other, and ensuring that we have a prosperous and brighter future for not only today's generation but future generations and whatnot. So and that's where I think you have, whether, especially in the pandemic economy, you have way more world peace than you would in any other time in history right now, to be honest with you. So that's just my personal opinion.
Taking care of each other, ensuring that we have a prosperous future, not only today's generation.
I'm doing good, man. Yourself?
Oh, I'm just loving life. Can't complain. I was supposed to be on the West Coast right now, but they shut the state down. So I was like, I'm not going.
I thought I heard that last week. They shut it down.
Yeah, what was it, on Sunday? Yeah, it was officially on Sunday. I was supposed to be out of here yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but they was like, yeah, if you come out to California, you're gonna have to quarantine for 14 days. I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. So
yeah, you don't want to go through that, man.
Yeah, it's not that serious. I was like, you know what? And the cases have gotten worse everywhere, heck, even in the DMV. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit tight for the rest of the remainder of the year. I
I
already
mean,
played Russian
you got
roulette going to
you
Houston.
can get another flight what, in 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I said, you know what? I'll go in February. So I'll see what it's looking like at that time. So it's one of those it is what it is situations.
Oh, yeah.
How's everything with your business, young man?
No, it's going good. It's going good. I'm actually well, for starters, when you said the thing about Master P, I actually was editing my video that actually has Master P segment in there. So I'm actually going to post it within the next like 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, okay, very nice.
You're going to see that. But at that same time, I also realized, which reminds me, this video you have is basically in the same boat that I was in a few weeks ago about leave your emotions behind in business. But at the same time, for my business, I finally figured out my weakness, and now I'm putting in plans to turn that to my strength, basically.
Got you.
So,
I can believe it. You know, I mean, hey, I mean, it's always every day. It's a learning process. You know, no matter what the situation is. You know, we live, we grow. I mean, heck, I'm going to use this extra time to even take some more online courses and whatnot, especially when it comes to the stock market and other ways to, you know, advance my business and even in real estate, the whole nine.
well, see, that's the beauty of it's like the beauty and the beast when it comes to our business, basically. And we can say me and you, we're first generation entrepreneurs in our family, basically.
Right.
And what I mean by that is that we don't have nobody else that's older than us that had a business passed on to us.
Right.
Or they had a certain amount of money they give to us to really start up. We actually had to learn everything basically from scratch or re-educate ourselves when we learn from our traditional schooling to get to where we are right now. So that's a lot of bumps in the road that both of us have to go through to get to where we need to be at. And to
Exactly.
get to where we are right now it's already a success. But to get where our mindset, our financial status is to where we wanted to be to pass on to our children, we still have a long way to go.
Oh yeah, it's a it's a constant learning process, and it's like you said, you have a long way to go. And even though you feel like you're taking 5 steps forward, some days you feel like you're taking 7 steps back. Especially in the beautiful pandemic economy, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it continuously slows everything down. I'm still wondering how 2021 is actually, you know, going to end, you know, really start off. Is it going to actually be at warp speed? You know, we're supposed to find out after the day if they're going to be, you know, trying to kickstart the economy and whatnot with any sort of stimulus. So,
Well, I know at least down here they're starting to pass out the vaccination, so that's a start.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Now,
Well, at least in the hospitals, but like I
okay.
said, that's a start. I know, first of all, I know people in San Antonio. Matter of fact, we just came out from my daughter's martial arts class, and we packed through Wing Daddies. That place was super packed, like they missed a day. So I know I'll feel a lot better once the vaccination is spread out of all of San Antonio because that was pretty packed.
So let me ask you, do you think the majority of people in San Antonio or in Texas, period, are going to be anti-vaccinators?
I'm going to say 50-50.
Okay.
There's people that say, no, we're not going to do this, or yes, we can. It's more like, do we have insurance to pay for it?
Got you. Okay.
That's good, 50-50. Like 50% of people that have the insurance will probably go ahead and get it done. The other 50% that don't have insurance, they're probably gonna figure out a way to try to get it, but it could be like immediately get it. So it's gonna take some time.
So do you think if, let's say hypothetically, even though it's not going to happen, let's just say if they just say, hey, vaccination's free for everybody, first round, do you think there'd be a huge vaccine movement?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even with it being free, like, hey, you can just go to the hospital and get it for free, or CVS or wherever, you know.
All the Marks and Karens in the world are going to say no immediately.
Yeah, I could see that already, and that's going to be the funniest thing right there. It's just like because I'm already hearing people talking about that. I said, me, it's like, hey, as long as you have a choice, I'm all for it. I just want society to get back to normal now, in a sense, to where I can feel safe when I get on a plane. I can go to Vegas and feel safe and whatnot. It's like the economy opened up somewhat and whatnot, because another year of this. I mean, being at home is one thing, but another year of nothing being open, and I'm good.
But
I mean, I'm already a home body, but I'm good.
What's crazy about it is that all the kids that go to public school, they're going to have it.
And well, that's where you already go. That's where you're going to have I'm not sending my child to school then.
If they still have virtual learning the way it is right now, at least down here,
right?
I don't see no problem with it.
Right. Yeah. And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And I wonder which school districts are actually going to stick with the whole virtual learning now that there's a new administration coming in, and now that they might say they'll be like, hey, you don't have to send the kids back to school. They'll leave it up to the states if you want to send the kids back to school.
I think it's going to go towards that,
which is smart,
because I know for us, virtual learning, it's not that bad once you have a game plan set.
Right.
Like initially in the beginning, it was bad because there was no game plan.
Right.
But now it's almost second nature.
Got you.
So we have it like that. I have no problem with it. But if they go back but at the same time, they got to pay the teachers more and give them proper training when it comes to, in this case, Google Classroom. They got to train them properly on that. They got to update their IT connections.
Right.
Because the technology here is, to me, is not up to par when it comes to the DC area.
Got you.
Because a certain thing, the infrastructure is not up to par with it. It could be a lot better.
Okay.
I mean, I'll go set the network and stuff because I'm still certified for that.
Got you. That makes perfect sense.
But they got to get up to par with that, so that's going to cost some money. But they do it right. I don't see no reason why they can't do it.
Got you. I mean, and that takes the states wanting to invest in it, obviously, and that takes the federal government wanting to invest in it at the same time too. So it's like, as a city, county, state, put your money where your mouth is and whatnot, Yeah. But the thing, I mean, they wanted to go back because, these cities and states and county, they spend a lot of money to build these schools and to maintain these schools. So, I just think a lot of areas. And then let's take Texas out of the equation. Let's take Virginia. Let's talk about the rural, poorer states in the country, like your Wyoming, your Mississippi, North and South Dakotas. You know what I mean? Where, they're considered the most boringest / poorest states / depopulated states in the country. I definitely see them not. Well, heck, North and South Dakota never even shut down. Like they they were like the main states that just didn't shut down anything, period. Like at least Texas shut a couple of things down in a couple of parts of the states. But yeah, I know those states are going to be like, yeah, we're not going to invest in the virtual learning, and yeah, we want our kids to go back to school.
Well, you know what? I don't think they're going to have a choice with that because President-elect Joe Biden, he's already going to put his effort into coronavirus and education.
Right.
So they might even have to do it. It might be a federal case where, like, hey, we're going to update some infrastructure where the kids can have a choice to do that.
Right. I mean, that would be great.
Vaccination. This is what you got to do. Either you get the vaccination,
right,
or you're going to do virtual learning. But one way or another, we got to get the kids prepared for school.
Right.
So
I'm with it. Yeah, and I can just see it now. The state will take the federal government to the Supreme Court, and it'll be a back and forth. But you're right, something is going to give eventually. But usually things are, unfortunately, progressive things happen by force a lot of times, unfortunately. And I just see a lot of, that's just that there are those parts of the country where they're still stuck in the 1960s. Not from a, I'm not going to say, basically just from an infrastructure perspective, I mean, you still have a lot of states where, like, well, heck, my grandfather lives in upstate New York. The biggest thing they got going on is McDonald's. If you want to go to Walmart, you got to drive almost 2 hours to get to it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So it's like you still got a lot of people forget about those small rural towns, you know what I'm saying? Like out in the middle of nowhere. And like I said, like a state like Wyoming and the North and South Dakota, you know, these are the middle of nowhere states where the population is the smallest in the whole country. You know, where I think Wyoming only has one Walmart in the whole state.
No way. It got
Seriously. Seriously. Maybe two now, but this was like a couple years ago when I looked this up. I think they only have one in the whole freaking state.
Oh my goodness. That's
Yeah.
wow. Well,
Yeah. Like people keep forgetting there's still these, like Alaska, you know, and Montana, there's these states that just there's nothing going on. There's nothing there. You know,
yeah.
like a major city to them would be like Prince William County. That's their major cities like Prince William County. So they have no real huge, you know, mega buildings, skyscrapers, or anything of that nature in the state of Wyoming. So yeah, so it's like states like that, those rural states. Like, I'm not saying anything against it. Heck, Kanye West lives in Wyoming, so you know.
That makes a lot of sense now.
So yeah, because think about it, the man's got like over 200 acres of land. He's by himself. Well, not by himself, but you know, he's got room to breathe. And it's just like the what was it, like 20 to 29 people that bought I think it was about almost 200 acres of land in Georgia and whatnot. They did it because they not only wanted to own something, but they said they just wanted to get away from people. I can respect that. Like, hey, whatever makes you happy.
Exactly.
You know, so I think it's going to be interesting at the end of the day where how the tide is going to turn in 2021. I'll say that, you know, to say the least. But it is what it is at this point. Have you got any hits from the Black Dollar group?
No, not really. Which is It's interesting. It's interesting when especially that group, they're promoting their products, everything like that. It is great, everything like that. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm promoting my services, not getting their hits back. And like, it is what it is. Like, either to me, I'm at the point now where I'm positioning myself that if somebody wants something, they'll come see me.
Absolutely.
So I'll put it out there. I'm giving out knowledge to everybody to see what's going on. Spoke to Theodore last week.
Oh, okay, that's good to hear.
Spoke to him last week and everything like that. That went well. I gave him a lot of knowledge and stuff like that. Matter of fact, he should be having his channel up and running for YouTube to post all his videos he have on his page.
Okay, very nice.
So that's the one example I gave him. Like, you have a lot of content, you need to distribute it on all your platforms to get your engagement ups.
Exactly.
So that's a little tip I gave him, everything like that. At the same time, I'm telling everybody else the same thing. Like, hey, there's a few things that you can do to do this to make it better. And here you go. Matter of fact, I gave him a report. And I'm going to do the same thing for you. I'm actually going to give you a free report with analysis of your, in this case, the Facebook page.
Got
the
you.
Facebook business page.
Got you.
I think just a free report. You can see exactly what's working with you, what's doing good. And then also to see things that you probably make a good adjustment.
Right. Absolutely.
To be more recognizable on Facebook.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, well, with that being said, why don't you tell the audience your services as always?
Yep. So my company is Reaching Out Consultants. I am a digital marketer. Make sure you see the card right there. Clear it up. Yep.
Yes, indeed.
And my main goal is to help large, medium, small businesses to reach their full potential of getting more customers, bringing in more money to the bottom dollars. I do website designs. I do social media marketing. I do Google marketing, reputational management. And we do logo design. I do have a team set up for that. I'm actually set up a new service here, which is actual video creation.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. So you still working with those guys that live in your neighborhood, or you have another team?
Oh no, actually, those are my partners. Actually, with the clothing line that they want to do called Outlaw Saloon.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah, because I remember you talk about actually.
What's going to happen is that hopefully no more pandemics coming to town, but we're going to probably open up a bar.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that with the saloon feel to it, right?
Yeah, so that's the end game. But for now, we definitely don't have merchandise sent out.
Okay, very nice, very nice. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you keep continuously growing and doing what you got to do, brother. You know, I actually saw Dennis today.
Oh, hit you now.
Yeah, I just saw him in passing or whatnot. So
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, he's alive. I'm just playing. But anyways, on that note, family, definitely check out Mr. Christopher Edwards' business. He's doing a lot of great things, and it's always greatly appreciated. I'm out of here, and definitely tune in tomorrow for the live session with our travel agents, Monica Gordon and Crystal Brown. It's going to be a great session, and they're going to give us their perspective on not only today's travel industry, but definitely tomorrow's travel industry, because you already know when this vaccine is out, and obviously if it's proven successful, everybody and their mothers are going to be traveling like it's nobody's business.
We might be one of them. Might be going back to Vegas since we can't go for the wedding in April. We actually got flight credits.
Good.
So might be going to Vegas again just to see my grandparents and everything.
Good. I figured they were going to you were going to get flight credits and whatnot, because I got it for my Memphis trip and I got it for my California trip, and I got it again because I canceled my trip for yesterday. So good. Yeah, because I'm definitely, now that I'm moving out there, I'm definitely going to be driving to Vegas very often. So
it's like 4.5 hours drive, something like that. So
yes. Yeah, and it's a very beautiful drive. If anybody's ever driven from the Riverside, LA area to Las Vegas, very beautiful. It's peaceful. Once you get like an hour outside of LA, it's very peaceful. Nothing but desert, mountains and whatnot. The Mojave Desert, it's very nice and whatnot. And you actually pass through a couple of military bases before you get to the Nevada. And the funny thing is, once you drive it, you're in Nevada before you even see the Welcome to Nevada sign. How do you know that? Because you see these two big hotels in the middle of nowhere. And they got an amusement park, and of course there's gambling and there's shows, and then you see Welcome to Nevada. So but anyways, as always, Chris, thank you for chiming in, brother. Definitely we'll talk to you later, and keep up the good work, brother.
Yes, sir. I'll see you in report in about 5 minutes.
Okay, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
Take care. As always, family, it's greatly appreciated. I will see you guys later. I'm about to head out and call it another good night, but definitely we'll leave you guys with some good music. It's always greatly appreciated. Thank you, Marquita, Mom, Chris, for the likes. That's always greatly appreciated, because I always say, if you can't buy anything from the online store, at least give it a like, share, and subscribe. That's always greatly appreciated. So on that note, let's get some good music and all that good stuff. And we are going to call it a night. If I can just get this squared away. There we go. What do we got? All right. Let's keep it simple. All right, where's my music at? All right, family, it's always greatly appreciated. Hopefully you guys have a great night. Like, share, subscribe.